What you have here are the more commonly understood race pace names, and with them some training design lingo that may be understood by either distance or sprint coaches, but perhaps not all of the lingo is understood by each group. By aligning the lingo with the race paces, I hope it will simplify or help make connections between more familiar race names and less familiar training lingo. This is our first glimpse at periodization, when certain paces might be emphasized. Notice that the shortest and fastest running of acceleration and maximum velocity falls in the more general category. So this gives you a clue that the training model is not long and slow to short and fast as the season progresses, but instead the longest and slowest, as well as the shortest and fastest running, are both being developed earlier in the general training plan, as they are considered general qualities when related to the 400, 600, 800 events. Consequently, we get more specific to the durations and speeds of our 400, 600, 800 meter events as the training season progresses. We can wipe away the training lingo and focus only on the race paces. As a way of classifying how each of these paces supports the training of the 400, 600, 800 meter events and athletes, I have borrowed from both the wording of Steve Magness and the training philosophy of Lal Knudsen. Lal Knudsen would simply have you identify your main race event. Then he would prescribe training by using the terms under distance or over distance, as well as under distance and over distance to describe other training paces as they related to the main training and racing event of the athlete in question. Steve Magness took it a step further, and it made a lot of sense to me, that as coaches had decisions to make about training, it could be helpful to use terminology associated with certain paces to express how they supported the main event. I have used some of Coach Magnus's terms, but I have also added some terms of my own to more completely cover the entire spectrum of paces. So in general, all paces are good paces, and training across a variety of paces is good for just about every running event and athlete, but especially for our 400, 600, 800 meter athletes. Which pace we choose to use and how it is relative to our event focus becomes the major question in training design. This chart can help us identify those priorities and how each pace supports our 400, 600, 800 meter athlete. We will come back to this very chart over and over again throughout the remainder of our presentation, so let's have a more detailed explanation before moving on. For the purpose of this entire program, we will assume that our athletes have relative equal abilities at 400 and 800 meters. So in this case, any workout done at 400 or 800 meter pace will be considered specific support. Any workouts done at 1600 meter pace will be considered direct endurance support, and any workouts done at 200 meter pace will be considered direct speed support. 3200 to 5K pace work will be considered medial endurance support, and 100 meter pace work will be considered medial speed support. 10K pace work will be considered general endurance support, and acceleration or maximum velocity work will be considered general speed support. Paces slower than 10K pace will be considered peripheral endurance support. And by extension, although not listed on this chart, any training that will be supplemental to acceleration or maximum velocity work, such as sprint technique work, could be considered peripheral speed support. The terms peripheral, general, medial, direct, and specific all show relationships to the main event, in this case 400, 800 meters. But the reason this is a useful model is that the support labels can be applied to coaching any other running events.